Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mastercrafted. It is a brand new channel dedicated to all things 40K and the Front Range. Here, we're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff in terms of some of our local players, in terms of just the meta as a whole and what you're going to see. We're also going to be bringing those people on to discuss, what they're taking to some of these events, why they're competitive, how they got there, to really help you as listeners get to that place yourselves. No, there's a lot of other channels that are already out there, but it's a lot of just top tier players, and they can give you advice. And we're trying to do the same thing, but maybe as more of a perspective of kind of that rise and focus really on grinding to even get to that like 4 and 2 for a lot of our listeners is really going to be a focus for us. And we're just so excited to take you on this journey. My name is Lane. This is Phil. Phil, how are you doing today?
It's another gorgeous day here on the Front Range up in Colorado, and I'm loving life. Finally, we're getting rid of some of the snow, so it's been great so far.
Yeah, I am so excited for summertime and spring to finally actually get here so I can travel, just go to all kinds of events and not be like, "Oh man, I hope roads aren't just crap." Coming up here this weekend, going to be coming down to Springs to see you guys, and fingers crossed the weather looks like it's going to be okay. We'll hope it stays that way.
We can't wait to have you down because hopefully one of these days you and I will be able to get in the game in person. So
In
maybe this is
person.
the weekend for it.
First round. First round immediately paired. One of us
Yeah,
is getting knocked out.
yeah, there
No
we
3 and
go.
0. Yeah, dude. I'm down. We do have to play. It has been too long of knowing each other without getting a game in. What are some other things that you would like to talk about as far as what this channel is going to be providing and going over?
Yeah. So one of the things I think, Lane and I, we talk about all the time is just how passionate we are about the game, how much we enjoy Warhammer 40K, and we want to bring that to as many people as possible. And this community is so large and so diverse. When we go to tournaments, we want to express and show every angle of the game because that's what it takes to make Warhammer as great as it is, especially overall across hundreds and hundreds of people, and just in our local community. So being able to expose those players to the entirety of the Warhammer 40K community, kind of show that there are different levels to this. There are different variables to this. People think of the game in different ways, and there's so many positive ways to think about this game. So we want to bring that as much as possible, whether it be in-game tournament exposure. So we're going to have interviews at tournaments with either live streamed or recorded. We'll have recorded games. We'll also have chats just like this where Lane and I will be bringing on guests that'll be talking about their faction or the new codex, and all of those things definitely matter.
Yeah. I'm so excited. We're gonna get to sit down with so many people and just get to watch some games, have some great games. It's gonna be so much fun to really just bring 40K, from the front range and get us let everybody else kind of enjoy it and see it. Colorado is probably one of the most competitive regions as far as 40K in the US. It is not easy here on the front range, man. You gotta grind to be able to do well here. It is a very good competitive scene.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Lane, why don't you talk us through just your 40K experience? What army you're playing, singular, because that is your focus right now, and kind of give us a little bit of a background.
Yeah, so a buddy of mine got me into 40K back at around 2018-ish. Started collecting, classic story. See some guys playing with some minis, and you're like, oh, yeah, that looks like some interesting stuff. I was a huge World of Tanks player when I was
Hmm.
a younger man back on Xbox when I did that, and I just saw an old Lehman Russ sitting there on the shelf. I was like, you're coming home with me, like I gotta this looks right. I think this is gonna be a connection. So started collecting back then. I'm from Wyoming, and here in Laramie, there's just the competitive scene, in general, wasn't anywhere near what it is today. And really with how rural it is out here, that wasn't really an option or something we looked into doing. But we heard about all these tournaments coming up around 2020, 2021 when COVID hit. It really started picking up in the region. And then I had been working out on the road. I finally kind of settled back here in the area. And my buddies on my team were like, yeah, dude, we went to one in October. You got to go check it out. So last January, I went to my first competitive tournament, and I had a blast, man. I got my teeth kicked in. I had no idea what I was doing. I had like 2 practice games before it. I was like, what a Leviathan? I don't even know what that is, but It was great. I was hooked, man. It's such a fun time coming down. And then over this last year, I had a table set up in my apartment for about 8 months, and I got about 3 games a weekend, and we were grinding like crazy, getting ready for like teams events and all that. And kind of the highlight of my last year is I ended up taking fifth in a 104-person tournament in October. And I had just really been working hard and grinding, and I got that. And then after seeing how good Roddy, our local TO from down in Colorado, how well he's built his community, I wanted to take part in that. So I also started Warhammer up here in Wyoming, and started putting events together. It's taken a little bit away from grinding the games, but it's been worth it. You know, we're getting events going, and I'm super excited to see where I'm going to go as a player and where Wyoming's going to go as a tournament scene. I'm so excited. What about you, Phil? How did you get into Warhammer?
So back when I was a broke young lad, I remember walking into my local game store. I started with the normal Pokemon, Magic, and then I walked into my local game store and I saw these models. I was like, oh, these are so cool. I bought Space Wolves. That was my first army, my first love. I was like, dudes with giant wolves as pets, that sounds awesome. I want to run them. But as a broke young lad, you don't necessarily have the kind of financial disposition to go do that. So I played the best I could. I had friends that played and we really enjoyed ourselves. But then a little bit later in life, when I got some adult money, I was able to finally play 40K in the way that it was meant. In the way that I enjoyed it the most, which was competitively, just in terms of being able to buy armies and even travel and do stuff like that. So I collect a few armies right now. I have Custodes, which are my favorite army. They are incredibly well done. The faction itself is something I really enjoy, and honestly, like the Golden Boys are always going to hold a place in my heart. I will never ever get rid of them. I also run Gene Stealer Cult, which is kind of what I'm running now competitively most. I have Astra Militarum, but that is a pure Valkyrie Vendetta Air Cav like Scion unit that is just like it's for the memes. It is, I will be 100% honest. Now, Scions aren't bad, don't get me wrong, but my Air Cav is definitely Air Cav in the purest form.
No.
And then I have Space Marines painted in a custom chapter, and I have Death Guard as well. So I do have a wide range of stuff, and it definitely has helped me learn a lot, so much about 40K, just having to play different armies and being able to be flexible in that sense and understand how our different armies play. It has definitely helped me overall. I've been very fortunate enough to get picked up by Denver 40K Fight Club, so I play for the 40K Fight Club team. I have a few 4-2, 5-1 finishes through the past year. My most recent achievement is I went down to LVO and I went 4-2. I was very, very pleased with that. My only losses were to Ben Jones, the number 7 player in the world. He's probably around that point still now. A great player from Vanguard Tactics over in England. And then my round one loss was into another England guy, another Vanguard Tactics guy. So unfortunately, Vanguard Tactics apparently had my number at LVO. But I will get my revenge, and I will get those wins back when I see him again.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. To just kind of recap my own LVO experience, it was my first time getting to go. I didn't really get as much prep as I wanted to. I ended up going 3-3. I didn't have any infiltrate, and it showed. We don't have a lot of jail lists in Colorado. That was not the case at LVO. I got just dumpstered by two jail style lists. One was the sickest meme I've ever seen of a list build. I mean, it's not even a meme. It just works, but it was crazy. 54 Nurglings, 3 great unclean ones, and Rodigus with a couple other random things that you just don't care about because you're like, man, I had to spend all game eating my way out of my deployment zone and didn't really get to play, but it was still a great time. I had some great opponents as well, but that was definitely the one that really stuck with me was the 54 Nurglings.
I don't think you'll ever forget that, at least not for the time being.
Never forget for Nurglings. Yeah. All right. So I guess to go over a little bit more, we kind of covered our LVO experience. What are you working on?
Yeah, so as I said, Final Day, Gene Stealer Cult is what I'm running competitively at the moment. I've toyed with Custodes. I've ran all 3 detachments that I think are kind of in the chase for the meta right now in terms of being competitive. It's Talons, it's Shield Host, and Solar Spearhead. And I'll be honest, the only ones that have enough tools to play at a high level, I genuinely believe, are Shield Host and Talons. Now, I have been proven wrong, and there are players much better than me that play Shield Host at a high level. I just think it has some holes in there that against good players will get taken advantage of. So Final Day is what I'm running. I love it. It's such a fun detachment. It's got tools and tricks. It has access to some very significant lethality in the +1 to hit and shooting in combat pretty much across the army. And if played properly, you can really, really stack a lot of the buffs with crossfire, with +1 to hit, with reroll wounds in combat. The army is lethal. It is lethal. And that's what I took to LVO, and I'm still continuing to run it. I'm trying to find that sweet spot of how many Tyranid characters do you take, and how much combat do you take, and how much shooting do you take. So all of those things matter, but I am definitely really enjoying running it and still going to be running it. So I'll be running it this weekend at our little RTT, hoping to get a nice little 3-0 with it. That's the goal. I want 3-0, and we'll do our best to do it.
Hell yeah, yeah, that is awesome. For myself, I play in guard. You know, I when Bulgrins were prime, I was living my best life. I've always loved those models and really enjoy playing them. With the new book coming out though, and losing the ability to order them, you can't really use them quite as effectively. I've really been trying to play around with a list that does. I just haven't been able to commit to a list that uses more than 6 of them. I think that's one of the big things with guard right now is as much as I want 12 or even 18 Volgren to work, it's just not gonna right now. I think 12 could. It's just it's hard to find that proper balance in what else you take. The other thing is I was even looking at like triple Dorns and stuff now that with the tank commanders and all that stuff, and just with where the meta's at, man, I liked running triple Dorn. I like running 12 Bulgren, but I'm taking 2 Dorns and I'm taking 6 Bulgren this weekend. And I'm not the most happy with myself about it for giving up on my dreams, but I do think it's more competitive at the moment, just with how easy it is for Marines with +1 to wound, and so many things are hyper lethal, and trash just seems to be king right now. That cutting back on some of those picks I really like, it just didn't feel like the right way to go. And so we're gonna take still a ton of armor that's just a lot more cheap armor, and still have that, as well as just a ton of guardsmen to just go die for the emperor. So we'll see how it goes. Also hoping for a 3-0, but it's tough, man. There's some heavy hitters coming down this weekend.
Yeah, what detachment are you going to run?
Combined arms.
Combined
The one
hands.
thing, I believe, I think there's a lot of play in a lot of the new guard detachments, and one of these days we will be going through all of the new stuff, all things guard. But to me, just the inability of a lot of the other ones to deal with most things you're going to see. The lethals on your tanks, I just have a hard time passing up on. The stratagems are still good. You can lose your officers and still give orders back and forth between squadron vehicles and regiment units. And there's a lot of general flexibility in there. Bridgehead hits like a truck, but it is technical, and you better be sweating your ass off the entire time you are playing that, because you got to be moving everything. You have to know exactly what you're going to do beforehand. And with a clock, it's just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem like a fun weekend. You better have a ton of reps and be ready to know what you're doing and ready to move all those models and roll all those dice, because Bridgehead is a beast. But yeah, I'm excited to see what all really comes out of the woodwork now that Guard is going to be live and really available to everybody. We're going to see what comes out on top, and yeah, super excited.
Well, it's not just Guard that's available this weekend. It is also Eldar.
Oh man.
And for those that are looking forward to it, we're gonna have a interview with one of our good friends, Nick, that'll be posted soon. That he's gonna talk about his devoted to Iniad, or the devoted to Drakari, as he calls it. That it is an exceptionally good detachment, and we can't wait to talk about all of that, because it is quite good. So we'll see some Guard this weekend. We'll see some Eldar this weekend, and all of us will just be along for the ride, hoping that our detachments can keep up.
Right. Yeah. And other things to look forward to. We're going to have Roddy on, the TO that runs a lot of the Colorado stuff, as well as a good buddy who's on my team, Jason. And we're going to start working through some of those Marine detachments. So plenty to look forward to as far as content is concerned. And I'm super excited to see how everybody does.
And you said it before, these areas like in Colorado Springs and Denver, super competitive. We have access to so many great players here. So we can't wait to expose all of those great players to you, so you can ask your questions, have information, have those chats, because I know I have genuinely learned the most playing against extremely competitive players. The better players I play against, the more they teach me about this game, the more I see, and it's just awesome.
Yeah, it really is just over the last year being very new to the game, just playing a couple of my good friends that were good and stuff, and then also getting TTS in with some of the guys from your team, and even just a couple in persons. It has helped so much develop my understanding of the game and really be able to play at a higher level. And you just never can stop searching for that, those next level up, guys to keep playing against, and it really does improve your game.
Yeah, absolutely. So going into this weekend, let's talk about the meta a little bit. What do you think you're most concerned with as a guard player in the meta right now?
Just anything that has a lot of flexibility and tricks. Eldar being one of them. I feel like they just have a lot of shenanigans with the new movement, not really having any reps into them. I know there's at least one there. I'm gonna have to look to see if there's more. And Nick's a dang good player with it. The other thing is Tau. I know there's gonna be a good Grotmist detachment. I forget the name of it, but that thing has some tricks. It really does.
Auxiliary
And
cadre.
auxiliary cadre, yes, thank you. And being able to, or not being able to just tie things up with guardsmen actually does take a fair amount away from it. That detachment doesn't hit insanely hard, but due to its tricks and stuff, you have to be very careful because it really can just pull a fast one on you, flip a primary, and just next thing you know, the game's just totally on its head. And you thought you were ahead and now you're behind, and it really is interesting and really cool. If you haven't looked into it as a Tau player, I recommend it. It does have some spice in it. What about you? What are you not wanting to see? I'm hoping you say guard, but that's just.
I don't believe it or not, I don't mind guard. I'm pretty okay with that because if my mining lasers are at -4, ignoring cover, hitting on twos, I'm okay if you wanna shoot me like that because the trades are okay. Big demons are kind of scary. I'm actually running a two unique tech pieces that I don't see often, which are two 10-mans of mining weapon acolytes with biophagus. They have anti-vehicle 4-up, they're flat 3 damage, and they're a great unit. They only have 12 attacks, but when you're hitting on twos and you're rerolling all wounds, my efficiency is up there. So the unit overall is good. One of them can't be overwatched. I can rapid ingress the other one in. I can turn one deep strike with them. But what scares me is those toughness 12 demons where I have to rely on my mining lasers really to punch through because the mining weapons normally are only strength 5. So those guys I'm wounding on 6s. I only get +1 wound against infantry once per game with the biophagus. So, and I'll have lethal hits. So there is a significant drop off there in my lethality, especially into those big demons. If someone's running like 2 or 3 of them, like Nurgle or Zinch demons, that is an interesting matchup. And that's why I've taken more mining lasers in my setup. So I'm taking 3 rock grinders, all with mining lasers, 2x2 ridge runners, all with mining lasers, because I know that's my worst matchup, and I know I can keep it even and then or gain an advantage because I'm going to outscore them with just the amount of OC that I have into those two. So demons especially, I'm not scared of Iron Storm or Gladius. Vanguard Marines are interesting just because of their mobility. It is not fun seeing Marnius Calgar across the table, but I've played him enough times that I kind of know what's coming, so there's no real surprises anymore with him. Yeah, I think that's it. Just big demons. I don't want to see big demons.
Okay, well, you might have to bribe the garage owner at the tournament this weekend just to please avoid that. But I'm sure you'll be fine. There's no reason to fret. There's only what 3 demons players.
3 demons players last time I checked until someone sneakily gets one in there after they watch this. Like, oh, Phil's is scared of demons? I'm going to take demons.
Yeah. People are texting right now, like, "Hey, man, I got to switch my list just to mess with Phil." Yeah, awesome. All right. Well, is there anything else we want to cover real quick on this quick little intro episode we're doing?
No, I just want to express to everyone, if you take the time out of your day to watch this, we will do our best to put out the best information as possible. We love this game, and that's why we're doing all of this. It's not for any kind of financial gain or anything like that. We won't have a Patreon as of right now. We just like spending our time doing this, and thankfully, we love doing everything we can to talk about 40K. And if we could do that over online and share our thoughts with a bigger community, then that sounds awesome to both of us.
Yep. Yeah, that is really all it's about, is just having conversations, enjoying 40K, and having a great time, and hopefully you enjoy it as well. We're gonna have plenty more content as long as you guys keep watching it. We're gonna keep slinging it out there. So just be sure like and subscribe, follow us, and do all the things you're supposed to do. And we'll make sure to have more 40K content headed your way. But with that, I think, this is Mastercrafted. And remember, victory isn't given, it's forged.
Love it. Have a good night, Lane.
See you.